What if the real reason we follow the crowd isn't just fear of being an outsider, but a subtle, almost imperceptible glitch in our brains? You might think conformity is about blending in, about avoiding the spotlight, but the truth is far more intricate and surprising. A lesser-known 2018 study from the University of Oslo revealed something extraordinary. Participants actually conformed to incorrect answers even when they observed others expressing dissent. This isn't just about peer pressure. It suggests a deeper, almost automatic process. It introduces us to the powerful concept of minority influence, demonstrating how a single dissenter can sometimes sway a group more profoundly than a seemingly overwhelming majority. Does that make you question everything you thought you knew about group dynamics? This isn't just theory. We're talking about your brain at work. Video revelation. Show a clip of a brain scan where conformity triggers mirror neuron activity in the prefrontal cortex as if we're borrowing others' thoughts, creating a shared reality that can override our individual perceptions. Many of us have heard about the famous Asch conformity experiment, often citing a high percentage of participants who simply gave in to group pressure. But what if I told you the popular narrative hides a crucial detail, a counterintuitive finding that changes everything? In reality, only about 25% of participants in Asch's experiment ever conformed completely. The vast majority resisted, but here's the critical insight. They were much more likely to stand firm when they had a clear moral anchor, a deeply held conviction, or a personal rule to guide them. Think about that for a second. It wasn't just about intelligence or stubbornness. It was about conviction. Video clip. A participant from the original study recounting how they felt sick with themselves after conforming, expressing deep regret and self-reproach. This isn't just about external pressure. It's about the internal cost of silencing your own voice. Have you ever felt that gnawing sensation of regret after conforming against your better judgment? Fear of ostracism is undeniably real, but so too is the profound power of self-respect and the quiet strength of your own conscience. But the really interesting part is coming up next. Sometimes the greatest acts of courage aren't on a battlefield, but in moments of quiet defiance. Consider a powerful story from 2020. A nurse in Brazil, amidst a global pandemic, found herself in a situation where she felt a hospital protocol was not serving a specific patient's unique needs. She chose to refuse to follow it, advocating passionately and intelligently for a different approach. Her individual courage, her willingness to step outside the prescribed path, ultimately saved that patient's life. Now, contrast her experience with a different kind of defiance, a software engineer who, upon discovering an unethical AI algorithm within their company, chose to reveal it. This act of individual integrity sparked a movement, forcing a reevaluation of ethical standards in an entire industry. What would it take for you to stand alone? Video. Side-by-side interviews showing the emotional cost of dissent, initial anxiety, juxtaposed with the profound relief and moral clarity that follows such an act. These individuals remind us that true leadership often begins with the courage to be the only one seeing a different way. So, how do we cultivate this individual courage in our own lives? It starts with small, deliberate steps. I have a practical exercise for you right now, something you can do immediately to begin rewiring your brain. First, take a moment to reflect and write down a time you conformed, even in a small, seemingly insignificant way. Maybe it was a group laugh at a joke you privately found inappropriate, or agreeing with a plan you secretly disliked. Once you have that moment in mind, for step 2, imagine a private dissent version of that moment. What would you have said? What would you have done differently if no one was watching? Finally, for step 3, practice it aloud. Find a quiet space, stand in front of a mirror, and vocalize that alternative response. This isn't about shaming yourself for past conformity. It's about building new neural pathways for courage, preparing your brain for future moments. Video. A split-screen demo of someone rehearsing a dissenting opinion aloud in a mirror, showing growing confidence, juxtaposed with their previous hesitant behavior in a group setting. This simple act can transform your internal landscape, preparing you for the next time the crowd pulls you in. But now, let's look at this from a completely different angle. Herd mentality isn't just a modern phenomenon. It's deeply ingrained in our evolutionary past. Our ancestors relied on conformity for survival within their tribes. Aligning with the group meant protection, resources, and shared knowledge. But in our complex modern society, this once adaptive trait can become maladaptive conformity, leading us astray. Think about it. Does following the crowd always serve your highest good today? This phenomenon isn't limited to social settings. You can see it playing out in economics, too. Consider stock market bubbles, where collective enthusiasm can drive asset prices to unsustainable levels, only for the herd to panic when the bubble bursts. It's a classic example of group behavior overriding individual analysis. And the neuroscience behind it is fascinating. Aligning with a group actually gives you a dopamine hit, a chemical reward in your brain that feels good, almost like a subtle form of gratification. This isn't just about social pressure. It's your brain actively seeking the comfort and reward of belonging. What does this mean for your decisions every day? Here's another mind-blowing insight that could profoundly change how you approach group dynamics. A 2022 Harvard study uncovered a simple yet incredibly powerful finding. Participants who hesitated for just 10 seconds before responding to a group consensus, especially when they felt it was wrong, were 3 times more likely to resist conforming later on. Just 10 seconds. Does that surprise you? This isn't about needing more time to think up a perfect rebuttal. It's about creating a crucial pause, a mental reset that allows your prefrontal cortex, the part of your brain responsible for rational thought and decision-making, to activate. It gives you a moment to step outside the immediate pressure of the group and reconnect with your own internal compass. Video. A time-lapse of someone pausing for 10 seconds, visibly taking a breath, then speaking up with confidence, visualizing this as the brain's courage countdown. This pause isn't a sign of weakness. It's a strategic mental maneuver, a small window of opportunity to choose integrity over immediate agreement. What will you do with your next 10 seconds? To truly grasp the essence of individual courage, sometimes we need to see it through a different lens. Imagine a sheep in a maze. Conformity is like following a herd blindly into a dead end. One sheep follows the next until the entire flock is trapped. But what if the first sheep, sensing danger, or simply taking a moment to observe, stops? That single act could potentially save the entire flock from a difficult situation. Or consider the solo guitarist. In a vast symphony of conformity, where everyone plays the same melody, being the only one to play a different note, a different melody, can disrupt the entire composition. This disruption isn't always negative. Sometimes it's precisely what's needed to create something new, something more beautiful, or something more honest. Video. A short animation of a single, bright, clear note cutting through a cacophony of indistinct, muddy sounds, bringing clarity and structure. These aren't just pretty pictures. They are mental models that can empower you to recognize when the path of least resistance isn't the path of greatest wisdom. This isn't just another self-help video with generic "be brave" advice. We've delved into the science-backed strategies and the sometimes uncomfortable truths about conformity, recognizing that it's often a rational, even rewarding brain response, not just laziness. We've explored the mystery of why we follow, uncovered the surprising facts, and equipped you with practical tools. We haven't offered platitudes or suggested that you're not trying hard enough. Instead, we've celebrated moral courage as a developable skill, not an inherent character trait you either have or don't. The greatest revolution isn't found in the roar of the crowd, but often in the silence before the first dissenting voice. It's in the quiet decision to pause, to question, and to choose your own path. What hidden truths will you uncover within yourself? What unique melody will you choose to play? Video ending, a split screen of a vast, undifferentiated crowd slowly parting, revealing a single resolute person walking confidently in the opposite direction. The question lingers. Which side will you choose?